dishes for long. And at the same time, I started watching the barista that looked like domes. It was out of all of them that are going to speak of our journeys and how it's changed and transitioned over the years. I started when I was about to finish, so in my 20s, I was about to finish my degree. I was offered, they were doing great volume, they were doing an amazing, well, do you want to stay here full time? And I said, well, if I'm going to stay, I want to build a house. And so in my 20s, until I was 26, I was there and building that side of the business, and it became quite successful. I was looked after well, but it was what's next. And it was one of the key messages when people say, how do you deal with your staff? And at any one time, I've had up to 600 staff globally. And I always say, hire people good enough to have their own business, but you've got to give them a reason not to, right? And I've always hired on attitude and taught skill. But I said, you've got to give people, if you want people that are good enough to own their own business, you've got to give them a reason not to leave. And the reason I went off in 26 in 2002 and started DeBella Coffee is because I wasn't given that opportunity. So had I been given that opportunity, I would never have started DeBella and probably wouldn't be at the commune today because of the evolution. So it was a lesson that I've learned, still learn, and still do with my current team. If you want people good enough to have their own business, you've got to give them a reason not to leave. But of course, that person's got to warrant that opportunity. And so 2002, it all started. One-man band, $5 in my pocket. I started a company called DeBella Coffee. I wanted it to be a good business. I wanted it, because of my history of being a son of migrant, I wanted it to make enough money to do what I want when I wanted. There was no aspiration in making us grow up. We had a great life, but they grew up on limited money, which limits, what you can do. And that's why I've always said, follow my own destiny. And of course, what we found, it was difficult. You're out knocking on doors. You're getting people to try and buy into your product. You're trying to tell a story. And what I found quickly was I didn't want to tell a story about coffee. I wanted to tell a story about people. I wanted to go into cafes and tell the owner what I could do to help them, like training and marketing, because that was my background, helping with menu design because I'd worked in kitchens, while everyone else used to walk in trying to sell a bag of beans. And that became a bit of a mantra that we then went on to register. It's not just a bag of beans. And it became the backbone of our success and an opportunity at the time. And often you'll hear people say, our company pioneered the industry in terms of moving away from product, because there was plenty of companies making good coffee. Put it to people. We turned a product industry into a service industry. And even Melbourne, when they first told me that I was a dickhead to think that somebody would in the market supply, we would take them to switch. And I learned the next time another deal comes along. And it's no different to work as a barista did. But I stayed there 9 years to learn what not to do in business. And hadn't I done that 9 years, I wouldn't be where I am today. And there's a key message there for the people that are aspiring and coming through the ranks is you learn good things from people that do things really well, but you learn more things from those. So into the 30s, and then we grew big, we were big. We had 1,200 clients, we were roasting 40 tonne of coffee a week. We hit all sorts of milestones. I was traveling 3 weeks a month, and I learned very quickly you can't have it all. You can't have your health, you can't have a great family life, and you can't have great professional life without something giving. So I was 70 kilos heavier than I am. I was traveling 3 weeks a month, not seeing the family, and yeah, business was gangbusters, but at what cost? And I was reminded very quickly back to why, and the why was to have enough money to do what I wanted, and I had that, but I didn't have the family, the health, the personal health, and that's why timing and opportunity. We had a lot of people fishing around to sell the company, and we ended up selling in 2015. We signed the agreement, and I exited in 2017. And by then I was 40. So it brought me into the 40s, and it was time to focus on me. So I went on my health regime, dropped 70 kilos. I've now got a mantra where I only work so I get to spend time with the family. The kids are 13 and 11. And of course, this year we formally launched the Coffee Commune. And the Commune, while DeBella was a brand and it was a product, and it became one of the biggest, it probably was the specialty coffee in life, that made any better. I think it just gives you a lot of skill. The coffee now is about bringing everyone together. It's a place where people collaborate. It's about doing stuff like this. We don't have a coffee brand. We have about 12, 30, or 123 or 125 people come and they can use their own green beans, they can use our green beans, they can use our staff, they can use their own staff, but we're a facility that helps them out of the jam. We've got training rooms here where baristas are coming to train. Baristas are actually getting paid to train other people, and they're using the facility here. So we are an infrastructure. I mean, you're looking at a $20 million facility, and what it is you can now build your own brand without having to have your own facility, which the average roastery is about, cheapest you'll build one's $250,000. The average is about $1.5 million in total costs. Now we get rid of all that expenditure and the rest of it. But you'll see how that works is about giving back to the industry and seeing the new people come through. So events like this is why we love it. You've got some great industry icons in the room. Make sure you get around and chat to them. I love the fact you've got companies, obviously with what you guys are doing with the milk space, and also the Sunbeam crew and all that sort of stuff. You've got all the different companies that are coming together that want to be part and help. And they realize that it's not just about product. The product will sell itself if you engage with people. Right? And that's the beauty of this industry. So the old days of everyone being angry and trying to cover up the roaster so you don't know what they're doing, it's a roasting machine, dickhead. You can Google it and see what it looks like. You don't have to cover it so everyone sees your secrets. And even your coffee, it's transitioned. Where no one really wanted to talk about it, people will now openly and talk about it. The one thing that gets me about the industry that I say to people, and I always say to them, lose the arrogance. The arrogance is only off, right? When you don't want to listen to what people have, comes back to people. And the moment you think it's about the coffee, you've lost. So my biggest tip for everyone in the room, whether you're an aspiring barista or, effort into becoming an expert with people, as you do to becoming an expert in product. And if it's not coffee you're in and it's milk or whatever, the advice is exactly the same. So there we go. 15 minutes and finished. Thanks, guys. I'm ready to take questions. Yes. Any questions for Phil? Perfect. Thanks. The older I get, the less I want to talk.
Right, I guess not. Thanks, Phil, and thank you again for allowing us to use this amazing venue today for this event. Our next speaker, again, probably doesn't need much in the way of an introduction. Founder of Toby's Estate, now living the dream on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Toby from Toby.
Thanks, everyone. Nice to see you all here. Welcome. It's great to be here. Thanks, Sean. I was living the dream down in Melbourne. Wooed me up here, so it's great to be in front of some like-minded people again. As you know, Toby's Estate. So that sort of started my journey. There wasn't much education at the time. There were no schools, there were no communes. A student of law, or part-time student of law, more interested in art ventures and an entrepreneurial side of myself. I thought I'd best go to where I know is coffee, and that was Brazil. So there was, I guess that I went straight into the growing side of it and tried to learn about, from the seed, starting from the seed, the processing. So I was falling in love with coffee, a little bit different to Phil, but in the end, by starting the business, I was soon, it was all about education. So whatever I learned over there, I'd duty in the business to create a space where there was education or create a new path for myself. It was just, I was so in love with the product and so passionate about it in the sense from what I'd been taught that I wanted to share. Obviously, make some money. Very hard to compete with. It was soon a stage, I guess, back in 98, 99, where outdoor markets started to happen, food markets. So there was a definite change in attitudes of where a product came from, how it was made, the source of something. So by pure luck, I seemed to be in the right place at the right time for that development of coffee in that space. So banded together with some fellow like-minded coffee roasters, all, doing a few kilos a week, looking to do more and make $2.50 or $2 coffee, as good as you could get anywhere in the world. We set about creating an education program called Prepare and Serve Espresso, which went out to TAFE across the country. That for us, big course pre-cup that was making it more special. Training myself and being with baristas. Then the business grew. We needed a roaster. Who was on that path for a roaster? We trained, we trialed, we hired, we trained. They found me in coffee unless it was just out selling bags of coffee. So suddenly it opened up a whole departments in training, administration, sales.